Welcome to the Science of CX podcast. Join Steve Pappas in our studio lab as he puts his 25 plus years in customer experience to the test to make your business soar, grow, and accelerate. Learn how to turn new customers into loyal followers and be on the minds of everyone in town. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned expert, you'll learn something useful in this next installment of our podcast. Now, here's Steve Pappas.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Science of CX. I'm Steve Pappas, your host. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about the 7 steps to superior CX, or customer experience. Let me give you a quote. Customer experience is the new marketing battlefront. Those aren't my words. That's Gartner talking. That's right. The research and advisory leader is advising you to raise your CX game in business. So they lay out the trend in one of their articles called Key Findings from the Gartner Customer Experience Survey. And what they say, they go on to say that more than 2/3 of marketers responsible for CX say their companies compete mostly on the basis of CX. According to the 2017 Gartner Customer Experience and Marketing Survey, and in 2 years' time, 81% say they expect to be competing mostly or completely on the basis of CX. Now, that's a pretty powerful message for the rest of us in business, whether you're in a small business, a medium-sized, or a large enterprise, that most folks are thinking that the next phase of competition is going to be, how do we please our customers better? You know, I've helped scores of companies improve their customer experience, and I can tell you the handful of mistakes that they were tripping up on. So many of them had failed to follow what I call now the 7 cardinal rules of customer experience. So let's go through these. I've written them down for you, and I'd like to go through them with you. 1 is know your customer. 2, be where your customers are. 3, develop a single source of truth. 4, empower your employees. 5, guide employees in the delivery of a superior CX. 6, create a visible customer feedback loop. And 7, make CX central to your business culture. So let's take those one by one because each of them are important, but all of them together really make up the strategy for CX. So let's look at them. First one was know your customer. So let's break that down in how you should know your customer. What are the different phases and dimensions? Well, the first one is personas. So you have a lot of different customers approaching you for a lot of different reasons. If you haven't developed the persona of the different customers, it really is time. So if the concept of customer persona is new to you, a quick web search will help you discover how to create them. But in a nutshell, a persona is a fictional person who represents a group of customers. So if you think about the types of customers you have, you can basically say, okay, we have this type of customer and this one and this one. And this one over here we're going to call Brittany, and over here we're going to call this one Sam, and over here we're going to call this one Mary, etc. And assign a name to represent that type of customer. So the persona that represents the casual shopper will be different from the persona of the customer with a problem. So you'll do things differently, or you'll do different things for them to deliver exceptional customer experience. So that's the persona aspect of knowing your customer. The second part is really around journeys. That's an important one because part of knowing your customers is to map the journey that they take with you as they are searching before they buy something, during the purchase, and after the purchase. But doing this will really enable you to anticipate their needs and wants in the future. And you get really, really good at the anticipation and forecasting. So journey mapping will also tell you where you can enhance CX. So at what point in the journey is it even more advantageous or more important to really address and enhance CX? So like an in-store experience will different from an email experience or an online or a chat experience or a catalog type experience. Let's talk about the third one, channels. So how are your customers finding you? Do you ask? Are you trying to figure out, are they finding you physically from visiting your business? Are they calling you on the phone? Are they emailing you? Are they responding to your Twitter feed with engagement or other social methods? Are they looking for online chatting? You need to know these things and map the channels that are used most often and which persona is using those channels. So the next thing is you got to think about the departments in your organization. So now we get a little more internally focused. So list the departments of your organization and note really whether each department does transactions with the customer, do they interact with the customer, or do they do things on behalf of the customer? So that's an important differentiation. Transactions, interactions, or on behalf of the customer. That could be back office, that could be billing, that could be things that happen, but there's really no customer-facing part to it. So those are maybe credit card, credentialing, provisioning, things of that nature. So then you look at the departments, the different departments of your organization, and you really weigh those departments. And you start to say, okay, I see how each of these departments becomes even more critical to customer experience. Maybe assign a scale 1 to 3 to each department, 1 being low on the customer experience side and 3 being very high and most important. So as an example, do they talk every day with a customer? Well, that's a 3, right? Because that can make or break the relationship at that point. So all departments are important. They're important for different reasons, but for overall customer experience, you'll see that some emerge as even more important. Then look at the gaps, right? You need to figure out the gaps. Once you figure out all of that, you analyze the performance gaps. So if you're starting with customer service, let's say, look at the top 10, 15, or 20 call types that you take. If they're coming in the store, try to figure out what are all the reasons they're coming into the store, right? And then you keep that one example and that one department and you follow that through. So let's stick with the customer service. And you got your top 10 call types, let's say. And then you can rate those as which ones are more important versus less important. So you can keep a scoring, keep the 1 to 3. So it could be people coming in to have their tires rotated if you're a tire shop, right? How important is that? So then you think about what's the contribution of each of those components, so that call types or the in-person reasons, and you think about, well, what's the contribution to the overall customer experience? But then look at it from what happens if it goes wrong? Can it really detract from the overall customer experience? Can it mean that customer might say, gee, I may not be coming back? And then if it goes right, can it be something that you use to your advantage that really pushes the experience over the top to make it even more memorable so that they'll go out and they'll do reviews, they'll tell others, etc. So let's note whether, in that case, the representatives need access to information, and we'll address that in a moment too. Number 2, we said, be where your customers are. So allow customers the choice as to which channels they prefer to interact with your brand. In an omni-channel approach, that allows customers to interact and transact as they wish, even if it's to chat with a bot at 2 a.m. when they couldn't sleep and they really wanted some information at that point. So if your customers are using mobile devices, and who isn't these days, you need to be accessible via mobile. Are you mobile ready? Are you mobile friendly? That means your website needs to be responsive to mobile use and mobile viewing. But it may also mean you should offer a mobile app for relevant information and transactions that we talked about earlier. Number 3, we said develop a single source of truth. This one cannot be overstated enough. Develop a central knowledge and guidance system, or knowledge base, if you will, so that you can, bulldoze down the multiple silos of information that happen in every business and confuse their users and cause them to waste their efforts. If you think about information, where information is in your organization electronically, many times it's in many different repositories, okay? That is a process problem. The other part of that is that we've all been taught, when we've used computers in all the years, we've been taught how to store information. Just think about yourself. When you create folders in your Mac or your PC, you create these folders and you put things in the folders. You create subfolders. That's personalized to you. You're going to remember how you got to that information. So we've all been taught on storage methods, but individual storage methods. We've not been taught on how to access. So the game is a little different. Think about it in terms of don't store things how you would retrieve them. Store them in a way that the new hire can go in and find exactly what you need them to find in a moment's notice. That's a very, very important piece of this. So that single source of truth, really think of that as a repository of your policies, your procedures, your how-to information, your instructions, your training, anything employees need to know what to do, when to do it, how to navigate, what to say, what to avoid, that can all contribute to the benefit of the customer experience. So the aim really is to drive them to a realization that a single source repository of information allows them, the employees, to provide a better experience. In most transactions, company representatives have to look for information. Think about it. How much of the business relies on information? Once they find it, they have to turn it into action, right? So most all of us are in the business of searching, finding information, and then turning that information by doing something, which is the action. Today, I would say most companies have 90% of that in all of their tasks. So in the pre-web days, the distance a customer had to travel made a difference in where they shopped. Today, distance is important too, but it's the distance between access of information and positive action that makes the difference. Exceptional CX is really based on making sure the information needed for the transaction or the interaction is quickly accessible and it's in the right format for someone to turn that into action. The fourth thing that we talked about was empower your employees. That means train and manage your employees to be part of the CX solution because they are closest to the customer and really know best how to improve the customer experience. I can't tell you the number of times that I've walked into, say, a contact center and really got the sense that the contact center representatives knew more about how the business was really running than even some of the executives. There is a wealth of knowledge in the heads of the people that provide customer service. So many CX solutions, they do a fine job of discovery, analysis, and mapping, and even many of the business model canvases do a great job in laying out components of the business, but they all fall short when it comes to the actual execution. So in the throes of an interaction or a transaction, no employee is going to take out the customer journey map to determine the next step. Nobody's going to do that. Employees need a real simple mechanism that knows who they are and what they're attempting to do and can provide actionable guidance the moment they need it. The CX question is, how is call center agent number 26 in Omaha, Nebraska, who just received a call from an irate customer, going to access and understand the information they need to truly resolve that call and turn a negative situation around into a positive one, retain the customer, and potentially have them spend more with your organization? That's kind of the key, isn't it? So are they going to take out a big process map from some drawer and say, okay, now I could follow the logic flow here and know what to do. If it's here, I'm going to go there. I'm going to say, no, that's a no. I'm going to go down here. Is that where they're going to get their information on what to say and how to take care of the customer and retain that customer and turn them more positive? No, it absolutely is not. I mean, the same rule applies if a customer's at the pharmacy with their child, in their arms and they need an inhaler right away. They're going to call their health insurer, find out if something is covered, and that person that answers that call needs to know how important that particular interaction really is. Because the person behind the desk, they're going to understand how to provide the best customer experience, but if they have to call their insurance company to see if it's pre-authorized, that can make or break the whole thing, and the customer could get upset with everybody. Customer experience really has to be something that can be not only given into the hands of every employee, but given in such a way as to make that employee part of the overall solution. Number 5, let's guide employees in the delivery of a superior CX. What I mean by that is use some guidance technology to have all employees continuously improve the overall experiences of your customers. Merely searching for information, Google style, finding documents in a document repository, or things like that, they fall short of creating the basis for an exceptional customer experience that makes for performance boosting, if you will. For one thing, searches result in giving you everything. I mean, just think about that. When the last time you did a search, you probably got, hundreds, if not thousands of hits back. How do you know which one is the right one? You got to try every single one of them. So search-based knowledge systems within your organization generally require your employees to try each one. I mean, the trial and error method is time-consuming, it's productivity killing, but what's the poor customer that's breathing on the other end of the phone or on the other side of the desk thinking? That's something you have to make sure you think about. So those types of solutions are not going to enhance the customer experience. You have to think about things that get you the information right now so you can do the right thing. So just as technology exists to organize knowledge, technology exists to feed the right knowledge at the right time. In other words, the old days demanded extensive training, memorization to make experienced employees, whether they were in a contact center or at the counter. Today, the training can be digitized and delivered as real-time guidance right to your organization's representatives at the moment that they need it. Giving them the information as they need it in the context of what they're doing allows them to provide a better experience. Number 6 is create a visible customer feedback loop. That's an important one. So you need to enable easy and near real-time course corrections. That's what the customer feedback loop will do, and be more sympathetic to changes in customer behaviors. Remember, we talked about earlier that you need to be able to have information that flows properly so that the employee can course correct and save a situation. For example, like the Panviva platform encourages continuous improvement in a couple of ways. One is users put their own notes in it, such as remember to call Steve at extension 1234 before doing an international wire transfer. Well, the admin sees those notes and can harvest tribal knowledge. So the tribal knowledge or the institutional knowledge in your organization is important, but it needs to be able to be shared out. Everyone needs to know that, not just the one person that kind of holds you hostage and says, hey, I'm not training other people. Then it also has the feedback button, which enables users to rate a process and alert an admin of a potential issue in the information. So armed with the insight to improve performance, the guidance systems can reflect an improved sequence of steps. So in short, content is really never done. You need feedback and you need to improve it. Number 7, make CX central to your culture. Move to a more customer-centric model for your business. If you're not already there, if you're not believing yet that customer experience is the battlefront, is the competitive advantage, is the area that allows you to grow your business and grow the lifetime value of all of your customers, then you had better start thinking about it, because this is one of the most important things to learn in business today, is that, culture is one thing, but culture is a top-down phenomenon, right? It starts from the top. It starts when senior leadership says, we need to move to be a more customer-centric organization, and CX has to be the thing we do, and let's reward the better behavior and the better success. That should be what the whole organization follows. It's not just a matter of better technology. It's culture too. So that said, let's talk about IT, because developers and information technology teams, they definitely play a role in cultivating a culture of the customer. They need to be brought into the table to make superior CX possible. They need to be given the credit for providing the technological foundation of CX, because obviously there is technology components to this. So the tech team of CX is as important as any training that takes place, any marketing, anything that sales does, anything that service does, or any other team in the organization. Let's not lose sight of that. So let's bring it home a little bit with a conclusion and a summary here. So those are the 7 steps. Let's go over them quickly again. Know your customer. Develop the multiple personas to better anticipate your customer's needs and wants. 2, be where your customers are. Allow customers the choice as to which channels they prefer to interact with your brand. 3, develop a single source of truth. Develop a central knowledge base and guidance system so you can bulldoze all of the multiple silos and have one place that everyone gets the information they need to provide exceptional customer experiences. 4, empower your employees. Train and manage employees to be part of the CX solution, because they're the ones that are closest to the customer and they know best how to improve the customer experience. Number 5, guide employees in the delivery of a superior CX. So use guidance technology to have all employees continuously improve their overall experience. 6, create a visible customer feedback loop. Enable easy and near real-time course corrections and be more sympathetic to changes in customer behaviors, ultimately giving you the ammunition to provide better experiences. And 7, make CX central to your culture. Move to a more customer-centric model for your business. And remember, CX is not a one-and-done process. It's an evolution. No one gets it perfect the first time. You refine and refine over time with constant feedback and input from customers and employees to make the experience better. And that's it. Thanks for listening. My name is Steve Pappas, your host with the Science of CX.
You've been listening to the Science of CX podcast with Steve Pappas. Tune in every week to learn how to outwit your competition, grow your business, and soar to new heights.